Minister, members of the Oireachtas, ladies and gentlemen, the agri-food sector is of vital importance to the national economy and it's contributing to our economic recovery, contributing over 9 billion in exports last year, supporting 300,000 jobs in all parts of the country, producing enough beef each year to feed 30 million Europeans and producing over 15% of the world's infant formula. Through the hard work of farmers, the agri-food sector and many of the agencies present here today, the sector continues to grow. At this point, the agri-food sector in Ireland is on track to achieve the target of 12 billion in exports by 2020, set out in the Food Harvest Strategy. This growth is being achieved sustainably and with reduced emissions. For example, emissions per litre of milk have reduced by over 13% since 1990. The beef sector in Ireland has the 5th lowest carbon footprint in the EU, and the 35% reduction in chemical nitrogen use over the last decade is equivalent to an annual reduction of 500,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent. As a major exporting sector, the growth in the global demand for sustainably produced food provides an opportunity for agri-food, underpinned by a viable farming sector. Million consumers are set to join the middle classes over the next 20 years. This emerging population are shifting their dietary habits towards protein-based foods such as beef. While we all hope to never see a repeat of the dreadful weather conditions of 2012, it is a reality that Ireland does not suffer the extreme resource stresses endured by many regions. For example, even within the EU, 9 European countries, representing 46% of the population, are considered to be water stressed. These countries include Germany, the UK and Italy. Energy security also remains a significant challenge. Internationally, by 2030, we will need to produce 50% more food with less land, less water and less energy, while also reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Ireland, as an emission-efficient and resource-abundant producer of agri-food, is in prime position to meet this increasing demand more sustainably than any other larger agri-food exporting regions of the world. Climate policy development in Ireland must recognise and support the competitive nature and advantage of the agri-food sector. There are important sustainability initiatives taking place which will support growth in the agri-food sector in Ireland. I am sure other speakers will refer to these later in the conference. Board B's Quality Beef Assurance Scheme and Origin Green Initiative, Plan B's Sustainability Initiative, Taigish's Carbon Navigator and the Association's Resource Efficient Collaboration with EPA, Tagish, UCD and SEAI are all important measures aimed at reducing emissions from the sector. However, these sustainability initiatives must be focused on delivering improved returns for farmers with real price incentives for participating farmers as well as an environmental improvement. The quality assurance schemes currently being discussed for the dairy sector must be practical and workable. Agriculture represents 32% of all emissions produced in the country. This is a simple reflection of the importance of the sector to the national economy and a reason why climate policy must be got right. IFA favours sectoral plans as opposed to meaningless target-driven legislation as a means to address the climate challenge. Any plan for agriculture must accept the position put forward by Tagish, McKinley's and others that the sector can achieve further emissions reductions of no more than 3 to 4%. It should be remembered that these emission reductions, in addition to the 10% reduction in emissions achieved since 1990, Minister, as part of the programme for government, you have committed to legislation in this area, and IFA will continue to work to ensure the right balance is achieved between climate legislation and sustainable growth of the sector. The adaptation framework and mitigation strategy that Minister Hogan referred to in his speech perhaps provides a mechanism within which further sustainable expansion of the sector can take place. Minister Hogan and his officials have set the bar too high when they say carbon neutrality should be the approach for agriculture. Carbon neutrality cannot be achieved based on the current accounting method. Changes are required. This means recognising the carbon sinks in forestry and grassland and not allowing the energy sector to take credit for the emission reductions from carbon neutral energy crops such as willow and miscanthus. It also means putting in place viable refit tariffs for renewable energy production. In addition, based on adapting least cost climate strategy, it also means that state purchase of carbon credits must form part of the solution. Our sector remains willing to respond, but government must at least meet us halfway by putting the appropriate policy measures in place. Ireland may be an island, but we cannot afford to act in isolation when it comes to climate policy. Issues such as carbon leakage are extremely important and must be addressed in any proposed legislation. This carbon leakage occurs when output is restricted in sustainable regions, such as Ireland, and replaced with food produced in less sustainable regions, such as South America, leading to an overall increase in international greenhouse gas emissions. I also encourage the Irish Presidency to engage with the UNFCCC and to seek some form of meaningful discussions regarding the current international carbon accounting methodology, which simply isn't working. It's wrong that agriculture is getting penalised for carbon emissions and not receiving recognition for carbon sinks. The UNFCCC process can no longer afford to ignore the important issues such as food security, energy security and resource stress when addressing climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, Ireland's grass-based model of food production provides us with an environmentally sustainable platform for further growth of the sector. With emissions per kilo of beef and litre of milk among the lowest in the world, Ireland truly has an emission-efficient model of food production. I agree with the Minister when he recently said that climate legislation is a critically important piece of national legislation in terms of environmental and economic sustainability for our long-term future. Therefore, it is essential for the future development of the agri-food sector that we get this legislation right. In this respect, I hope today's conference will make a significant contribution to ensuring that the long-term sustainable expansion of the sector will be safeguarded when legislation is enacted. Thank you.